Throughout the year, bass experience a wide range of water temperatures. Like a seasonal teeter-totter, water temperatures rise in spring, plateau in summer, then descend in fall, eventually bottoming out during the winter. While summer and winter each occur only once per season, transition periods between them actually take place twice during the year. The spring cold water period encompasses the changeover from winter's relative dormancy to the beginning of spawning activity. Months later, the fall cold water period signals bass to begin preparing for an extended period of inactivity throughout the coming winter. Anglers might assume that fast-moving baits are better suited to catching bass when warm water temperatures send bass metabolisms into high gear. But the fact is, during the two cold water periods of the year occurring in spring and fall, aggressive bass often respond to a variety of horizontal lures that cover water quickly and generate strikes.
I don't know how many fish we got today already. You got another one? This is ridiculous. A good one?
I don't think so.
This is a good fish here for up north by us.
There we go. It's an early spring dock bite. Oh, you got a nice one, Al.
I got a good one here.
That's
Nice
a good
one.
sign.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Yeah,
stop
real-
us
real
here with the
better one
tail
here.
in for a second.
Came off of there. Surprised to see that many boats or docks in this early in the year here. You know? That's a nice fish, Jerk.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice fish.
Heck yeah.
You know, this has been a really, really interesting spring for me. It's been really a lot of fun, let me tell you. My spring trip actually started, nice fat bass, Jer, good fish.
Man.
I started in Arizona, and from Arizona I went and I fished in New Mexico. That was really enlightening. I learned a lot. It was a real eye-opener for me. And then naturally I went to Texas from there, and Jimmy flew down and met me in Texas, and we did quite a bit of fishing in Texas. Texas in spring of the year is a phenomenal place to be. What do you want to catch? Cats, stripers, largemouth, smallmouth, crappie, everything is biting. And it's biting big time. I love spring in Texas. Then we went up to Oklahoma, played on a few lakes up there. And then I drove into South Dakota and hooked up here with Jeremy. He had a couple of speaking engagements here in the southeast part of South Dakota. And he said, why don't we fish a few of these lakes in this area? We don't have a lot of experience here, so that's what we're doing. And I'll tell you one thing about all of the guys at the edge, they love to explore new water. And it don't make no difference what the fish is. What do you want to catch? White bass? He pounded them yesterday. And there you go, white bass, crappies, largemouth like we're fishing today, smallmouth, muskies if it's legal, pike, catfish. We won't shy away from a carp. Jeremy will definitely chase a sturgeon when the bite is right. Hey, whatever's biting, we're on it. And spring of the year is one of the best times there is to pulse a lake out and catch some awful good fish.
There's one way out on the flat. Haven't seen it yet, but it feels like a decent fish. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Not bad. I am a happy camper with that one. Hello, Mr. Largemouth. Hello, Mr. Largemouth. You know, this is pretty shortly after ice out, only about a week or so after ice out. Man, can spring produce some phenomenal results for just about all fish, and largemouth in particular, like we're chasing today, are really susceptible to hard baits, spinner baits, crankbaits, you name it. When that water starts flirting with 50 degrees, that's when it's time to crank and wind. You can cover a lot of water, especially when you're looking at new lakes. A crankbait, spinnerbait, Al's been throwing a little soft plastic around some of the cover, but man, oh man, can you have a good time catching all kinds of fish this time of year. That's a nice fish. I'm happy with what we're seeing so far.
It's time to put a new spin on innovation and touch off a revolution. It's time to push boundaries and leave our mark on the world. It's time to say goodbye to excuses, limitations, and half measures. It's time to get it together. New Onyx with Crosstouch. Now, everything you can do with a touchscreen, you can also do with a touchpad. Only from Humminbird.
There's no place like this.
I can't even believe it, and it's huge.
All fishermen are created equal. Some just use better fishing line.
First one, oh, big one. Look at that.
Closed captioning provided by Northwest Ontario, Canada.
Nice, yeah. Surprised me. Surprised me. Hello. Oh, Mr. Largy. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. That crankbait bite is so fun. You got the load and the rod, and they give you a nice ear ball. Hey. Simmer down. Simmer down. There we go. What a nice largemouth. Boy, they got some red stuff going on with their fins, don't they? He's got a little, little knob nose. I wonder what that's from. But he still said, I like the crankbait. And you know, that crank and wind style of fishing this time of year is such a great way to cover water, because you'll see in the spring, in a lot of cases, with fish of almost all species, and largemouth bass, of course, that there will be a lot of fish in a real small area. So you might fish, you know, a half a mile of shoreline or something like that, and you'll find a particular area that holds, you know, a lot of fish. And my tool of choice right now is I'm fishing with this Storm Arashi, and this is the number 5. This is a 5-foot diving crankbait with a square bill, so it'll deflect off any cover. When we run into wood and rocks, I'm able to bounce off of that cover really well, and it's perfect for the depth we're fishing. You know, we're kind of targeting that 3 to 6 foot of water. We're covering lots of it. It's our first time here, so I think we're starting to put something together.
You know, the Arash seems to be the bait of choice right now. I'm doing some jerking behind Jer with an X-Wrap. We've got water for anywhere from 48 to about 51 and change. I'm rolling a spinner bait, a soft jerk bait, occasionally a swim jig, but there's no question it seems to be the bait of choice.
Look at that, mouthful of Arashi. Love it. A nice little bass.
I gotta grab the Arashi rod. I've been jerking, I've been spinner baiting, I've been throwing the soft bait behind them, going thunk, thunk, thunk. But usually, you know, when you got 2 guys in a boat, you know, that's a good way to mix it up. You know, the guy in the back, guy in the front, he's catching fish. I'll play for a little while with some other baits, but there gets to be points in time where you gotta quit playing and you gotta get with the program. So I'm gonna start cranking the Arashi a little bit. The only change I'm gonna make is I'm gonna throw a different color than he is. And the goal is to always kind of mix it up a little bit. And rarely, unless that bite is that solid, will both guys in a boat be throwing the exact same thing, the same color, the same size.
That one feels a little
Usually
better
the
now.
guy in the front, once we get on something, he works it, and the guy in the back, well, occasionally he'll do some experimenting.
One thing I'll say about you know, this early season, I'm talking pre-spawn now. What you see a lot of times early in the season, pre-spawn, is baits that go like this are the baits that seem to be the most effective. Baits that are moving horizontally. It could be a jerk bait that's suspending but moving horizontally. It could be a spinner bait, a swim jig, a crankbait. That seems like it's that movement, that horizontal movement, that really triggers fish into biting. Now when you get closer to the spawn, You see it happen vertically. You see jigs start to work, become more effective, tubes, wacky worms, that style bait. But in the cool water, I'm talking say mid-40s to high 50s, right before those fish go to bed, that horizontal presentation is just almost impossible to beat. You're not wasting time fishing slow, fishing on the bottom. You're covering lots of water, and that's what the fish just seem to prefer.
This lake isn't real big. A lot of these little lakes like this, like we're on now, I'm guessing this thing is 400 or 500 acres. But a lot of these smaller lakes that we fish all over the country. I did it in Oklahoma, I did it in Texas. You know, I'll go out of my way to find, you know, small tucked away lakes like this. Spring of the year, depending on where you live in the country, is tournament time. It seems like there's a tournament every weekend and then every good sized body of water. So we grab our small Lund like this, which is a downsized bass boat. You got the storage, you got everything in it. I got my Mercury on the back of it. I shouldn't say mine, this is Jeremy's boat. But we share it, depending on where we're fishing. But a small boat like this with this tiller Merc on it, roller trailer, it's a gem. It's a gem. We get into some really good little small remote bodies of water that are loaded with bass. Oh, yeah, right here.
Right here,
You're
huh?
whacking
Got a
them
little
there.
pocket
Yeah,
of
it's a nice one, fat one.
Oh yeah.
I'm throwing her out on that, and it's
deeper?
slightly deeper.
I got one too.
You got
We're
one too?
doubled up.
Yeah,
Yours is much bigger than mine.
a nice fat one, boy. Here, baby. Don't shake, don't shake. Look at the fins on these things. Man, oh man, Jared, this is really weird. We had a number of fish like this.
I'd love to know what that is.
I don't know what this is in here. I don't know either. Well, interesting. Have to get to somebody. Look at that. Look at that fish. It looks like it's been dragging around for weighed in a live well some time ago.
Where we headed? Rocks! Better go with the swinging rugby jig! I know what to do, thanks! It's articulated, swinging head, let soft plastics move naturally and freely! I know! I designed it! Plus, it's got that extra long Z-bend hook that you love! And it's got... Hey, little help here? Oops, I'm sorry. Did you say something? Come on, help me! Turn this bag over!
For years, they've quietly taken you where the fish are. But now the silence is about to break. With the incredible new iPilot Link, your Minn Kota and Humminbird can communicate with each other. So you can hold on a spot like an electronic anchor. Record and return to waypoints and paths. Follow any Lake Master depth contour and more. All automatically and all from your Humminbird or the Link remote. They talk and you'll be speechless.
This is the finest fishing boat I've ever been in my life, and I'm so proud because I'm the owner of this one.
As far as fishability with this boat, I'm not limited to one specific type of species. For me overall, it's a fantastic boat.
My job is simple when I'm guiding. It's to find fish and to catch fish, and to be successful at it, you need boat control, and Lund boats, they're second to none.
It's like I went to the factory, they put me in the seat and they said, what do you want? And they built it around me. This is a fishing machine.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
You know, any place you live that you could get in on that early season a pre-spawn largemouth bite, you want to do it. Now, the further south you go, that pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn's a long time, goes a long time. Further north you go, it really condenses quick where we live up in Minnesota. And there's some states, you got another one?
Yep, they're just thick up
there is
small though.
a few states that have fishing seasons. My home state of Minnesota is one of them. And to take advantage of this bite, you know, we go to the areas right around us. The Dakotas, Wisconsin is way earlier than we are. There's water there that there's no close season on. Conditions are right. You can go into Northwest Ontario.
From Northwest Ontario to New Mexico and from coast to coast, there are a handful of lures that are mainstays whether you're fishing in a lake, river, or reservoir. Let's start with what we're getting them on today. It's the Storm Arashi Square 5. This lure has a few important characteristics that make it ideal for shallow water. It has a circuit board lip. Well, what does that mean? It's almost indestructible, and it cuts water like a razor, allowing the bait to dive fast and work at very slow speeds. The square bill ricochets off wood and rocks with little hang-up. Are you worried about your bait getting out of tune? Well, the Arashi series also has a self-tuning line tie to guarantee the lure stays in tune. The next must-have is a Terminator spinnerbait. They're a no-brainer to fish and bulletproof. These babies are made out of titanium and can stand up to the beating that big bass and pike put them through. The third lure is a Terminator swim jig, rigged with a grub, buttontail, or craw trailer. This can be the most deadly bait you put on in the spring. Sometimes it's the subtle swimming movement that drives fish nuts. This one is a silent killer. On the other side of the sound spectrum that can work at this time is the lipless crankbait. My go-to is the Rip and Wrap. The tight vibration and noise of this lure draws fish in like a magnet. Last but not least is a jerkbait, and we love the Rapala X-Wrap. Tie this baby on in the spring and never take it off. This thing catches fish in cold water to hot water simply by adjusting your presentation. The beauty of all these lures is they're so easy to fish. Cast them out and reel them in. This is a great time to take out a novice angler and let them experience what is the best time of year to get bit. This little lake we're on today, like many of the small little bass lakes we like to puddle, jump, and fish, has a pretty basic map on it. And I can tell you one thing, if that was my place right there and I lived on this lake, I'd be spending a lot of time out here with the auto chart. What you can do with that is just record onto an SD card with your Humminbird fish finder. It saves all the GPS and sonar data. You bring it back to your computer, you put it on another SD card from Lake Master, plug it back in, and after time of making transects across the lake, you've got an extremely detailed map of what's out here. So that's a great tool if you're doing a lot of fishing small bodies of water. To have auto chart, all you need is an SD card, record it in the Humminbird, and you're gonna have a killer map after a few trips out on the lake.
Got him. Boy, that fish, oh shit, she fought really funny. Look at, she swung at the bait and I got it in the corner of her mouth. Come here. You wanted that Arashi anyway, didn't you? Now you've decided to pull. You're hooked sideways. Still's not a bad fish.
Oh.
Yeah, come here, baby. The sharper edge here, look at, she took a pass at it and I don't know, might have been in her mouth once and rolled back on it. Pretty decent fish. What we're seeing so far on this lake is pretty encouraging for having never been here before. Yeah, you know, we're getting some really nice fish. Both of us are cranking with a Quantum Smoke 7-foot medium action, Suffix fluorocarbon, and I'm throwing 12-pound test, I'm not sure.
12.
Well, Jared's throwing 12 on his, and we're throwing this new 100, size 100 Quantum little rod. I'm throwing a 6.31 on this one, and they also got a, what, a 7 something?
Yeah, the Smoke combo with the Tour MG is just feather light. I mean, it's an incredible rod for just casting and cranking. It makes for a really enjoyable experience when you're fishing with feather light equipment. But when we're cranking these shallower weeds, it's a little different style of cranking than if you're going to be, you know, pounding into rock or timber where you put your rod tip down. You're just using the reel to pull through a lot of that cover. And here what we're doing is I'll cast it out, and I'm keeping the rod tip pretty high, and then I'll vary it depending on how far out the crank is from the cover, but I'm reeling down until I just touch those weeds, and I'll raise the rod tip up a little bit. I'll pull the crank with the rod. If I'm getting buried, I'll give it a little slack, lift it up, and I'll pull it. So I'm using both the rod and the reel in this situation to just feather that crank so it's just touching the weeds. You don't want to plow it right down into it or your cast is over, you're gonna have weeds on it, but just kind of feathering it in, and it gives it those nice pauses too in that cold weather where it backs up, and a lot of times that's when the fish end up jumping on it as well. It's a nice way to go about covering lots of water.
Oh. It feels like a good one, Jer. Nice fish, yeah. Nice fish.
Oh yeah.
Mercury engine test.
Toughness you can rely on. It's good to have Mercury behind you.
We're always looking for a secret to success, like lures, legs, spots. Here's one mechanics have been using for decades to solve fuel system problems. It's Seafoam motor treatment. Seafoam helps do the few important things exceptionally well. Removes harmful engine deposits, controls moisture, stabilizes fuel for up to 2 years, and adds lubrication to fuel, so engines run cooler and last longer. To me, this stuff is like a miracle in a can.
From fast-breaking techniques to hot new products, log on to LindnerMedia.com to help you stay on the fish and on the bite. View uninterrupted episodes of Angling Edge TV. Order from our complete library of species-specific DVDs. Purchase the same tackling gear our staff uses to catch fish on TV. We have fun facts to test your fishing knowledge and inspirational themes to help keep you on the leading edge of life's challenges. Steer your next cast on the web to LindnerMedia.com and get ready to set the hook.
Mercury engine test.
Latest 115 horsepower in its class. It's good to have Mercury behind you.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
That's all you're going to get out of me. All you can get out of me. You know, it wasn't that many years ago that the thought of taking a crankbait like this and throwing it in 48-degree water plus, you know, bass anglers would look at you and say, "What are you doing, man? That's jig water." Yeah, you know, or slow rolling a spinnerbait, or a real finesse crankbait like a shad rap. But we've learned that, like we do all the time through tournaments, just a lot of time on the water from a lot of good fishermen experimenting with different baits that, you know, over the years, hard baits like this catch bass all year long.
I got another one way up there too.
Look at it. Look at this. Got a whole bunch of them in the mouth here.
We just hit this little back corner, little mouth of a creek. There's a school in here and they just tailing down. And this is just such a great tool, that shallow water anchor, for situations exactly like this. You get on a wad of fish in really shallow water, you don't want to spook them, you just lock down. I've got a little fob up front here that I just keep handy. I push a button twice, we're locked in position. We don't have to worry about spooking the fish. You know, it's become one of those tools. When they first came out, you're like, you know, maybe I could see using it here and there, but the more you have it, the more you use it at the boat launch. But if you're loading boat, you know, loading, unloading the boat by yourself, you put it down, you walk away from the boat, you get on a good bite, you lock down, and you reel in fish every cast.
Look at, oh yeah, nice fish.
Oh
really
yeah,
good fish.
It's amazing how many fish we pulled out of here, and they
Look at
just
that
keep
baby.
coming.
Look at that baby.
Oh, that's a
Man,
nice
spinnerbait.
fish, Al. Nice.
Look at her pull. Look at her how shallow we are. Oh
Good
yeah,
fish.
she's a donkey.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what we
I don't
came
know
here
how many
for.
we've been sitting there poking them. You know. And then we left one of these behind just when I was going to say, let's get out of here. We got one of these to bite. I don't know how many fish we got today already. You got another one?
Mm-hmm.
This is ridiculous. Good one?
I don't think huge.
This is a good fish here for up north by us. You know, this is a good fish in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona. You know how I know? I just got back from there from about a month of fishing for these. Hi everybody, today I've got a special guest with me. It's my niece Dawn Lindner. Over the years we worked together on a whole lot of projects. Everything you could think of, from tournaments to television scripting to press releases. You name it, we've been involved in a lot of different things. Through many years at In Fisherman Communications Network, and which was a family business. We sold that, started Lindner Media Production with her brothers, and then we got involved in the Edge television series. And then one day, well, we had to let her go.
That's right, Al, and rightly so. I had gotten to a place in my life where I could no longer keep going under my own steam, and life was looking very, very bleak. I had allowed outside forces to really steal away my joy and my peace, and a lot of things had gone into that. But I had felt about 2.5 years ago, I had gotten to a place I was just very lost and very broken and very, very empty, and I had nowhere to turn. I had to realize that there had to be something greater than myself to turn to. And I'm very thankful that all of the things that are pointing towards First Light on the Water, the Bible, all of your encouragement, really put me back towards getting my life right and examining my life and surrendering my life to a power greater than myself. And when I did that, I can honestly say that Isaiah 61:3, God will give us beauty for ashes. And He has certainly done that in my life, and I'm so blessed and thankful. Today I am joyful and free and happy and full of life again. Things that I had been missing, things that were broken in me for years that I hadn't dealt with. So it feels very, very good, and I'm happy.
Hey, God's Word has the power to change lives. All you got to do is step out and receive it and act on it.
That's right.
Hey, from all of us here at The Edge, you have a great fishing season. We'll see you on the water. I love you, honey.
I love you too.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching. And if you really like what you see, we got a whole lot more. So check us out at any one of these online outlets.
Lindner's Angling Edge starts where everyday angling ends.
There we go.
Nice fish.
That did not take very long.
Join Al Lindner and his team of legendary experts as they take you to the angling edge.
Oh, there he is. Look at that.
Let the edge take you to the next level of angling.
Oh, boy, big fish, big fish.